The emergency beacon cut through the void like a knife through silence. Admiral Chen Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching the holographic display flicker with alien symbols that shouldn't exist. For 300 years, humanity had reached for the stars, believing they were alone. Today, that belief shattered like glass. "Signal analysis complete, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "The transmission is definitely artificial. Pattern suggests distress, but the technology is unlike anything in our databases." Martinez rubbed his weathered jaw, gray eyes fixed on the pulsing red dot that marked the signal's origin. At 62, he had seen humanity's first steps beyond Earth's solar system, witnessed the terraforming of Mars, and commanded fleets through the asteroid wars. Nothing had prepared him for this moment. "Distance to signal source?" he asked. 14 light-years, sir. Beyond our current survey range." The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's quantum drives. Every officer present understood the magnitude of this discovery. First contact protocols existed only in theory. No one had ever expected to use them. "Commander Torres," Martinez called to his second-in-command, "what's our fleet status?" Elena Torres consulted her tactical display. "We have the full third fleet available, sir. 27 vessels, including the Prometheus. The destroyers finished their retrofits last month, and the new plasma cannons are operational." Martinez nodded slowly. The third fleet represented humanity's most advanced military force. Each ship carried weapons designed to crack asteroids and defenses that could withstand stellar radiation. They were built for exploration and protection in the vast emptiness between worlds. "Sir," Kim interrupted, "I'm detecting multiple signals now. Same frequency, same pattern. They're coming from different star systems." The Admiral felt his pulse quicken. Multiple signals meant multiple sources. This wasn't a single ship in trouble. This was bigger. "How many signals, Lieutenant?" 12 confirmed, sir. Possibly more. The pattern is spreading across a region of space roughly 50 light-years in diameter." Torres stepped closer to the display. "Admiral, if these are distress calls, we might be looking at some kind of coordinated attack. Multiple civilizations calling for help simultaneously." Martinez considered this. Humanity had always wondered what they might find among the stars. Scientists predicted everything from peaceful traders to hostile conquerors. None had imagined arriving in the middle of someone else's war. "Helm, plot a course to the nearest signal. Maximum sustainable speed." "Aye, sir." "Course plotted. Transit time at maximum burn, 6 days. Make it 4 days. Push the drives if you have to." The crew exchanged glances. 4 days meant running the quantum drives at dangerous levels, but no one questioned the order. This was why they had joined the Deep Space Fleet. This was what they had trained for. As the Prometheus changed course, Martinez activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All vessels, this is Admiral Martinez. We have detected what appears to be multiple alien distress signals. We are responding to investigate and potentially render aid. Maintain battle readiness but follow first contact protocols. We represent all of humanity out here. Act accordingly." Dr. James Walsh, the fleet's xenobiologist, rushed onto the bridge carrying a tablet full of data. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the signal structure. The mathematical progression suggests intelligence levels far beyond what we expected. These aren't primitive civilizations." "How advanced are we talking, Doctor?" "Based on the signal complexity, their technology should be at least equal to ours, possibly superior. The fact that we can detect their transmissions across interstellar distances suggests communication methods we're only beginning to understand." Martinez absorbed this information. Humanity had always assumed they would be the advanced species when first contact occurred. The possibility of meeting equals or superiors changed everything. "Sir, incoming transmission from Earth Command," reported the communications officer. Martinez accepted the transmission, watching as Director Harrison's face appeared on the screen. The head of Earth's Deep Space Command looked haggard, as if he hadn't slept since receiving the first reports. "Admiral, the situation has escalated. Our deep space monitoring stations are detecting energy signatures consistent with large-scale warfare. Whatever's happening out there, it's big." "Understood, Director. We're en route to investigate." "Chen, I need to be clear about something. The Security Council has authorized you to use any means necessary to protect human interests. If these aliens represent a threat to Earth..." "I understand, sir." The transmission ended, leaving Martinez with a heavy burden. Protect humanity, but also follow first contact protocols. Help alien civilizations in distress, but be ready to fight if necessary. The contradictions inherent in their mission weren't lost on him. Dr. Walsh was studying his tablet intently. "Admiral, there's something else. I've been comparing the signals to our own emergency broadcasts. The pattern recognition software found similarities." "What kind of similarities?" "The mathematical constants, the way they structure their data packets, even the redundancy protocols. It's as if whoever designed these signals understood how we think." Lieutenant Kim looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy discharges from the target system. Whatever's happening there, it's happening now." On the main display, space itself seemed to flicker with distant explosions. Even across 14 light-years, the sensors could detect the energy signatures of weapons that defied human understanding. "Fleet status report," Martinez ordered. Torres checked her displays. "All vessels maintaining formation. The destroyers are running hot, but within acceptable parameters." "Admiral, if we're heading into a war zone, shouldn't we know what we're fighting for?" It was a fair question. Humanity had no stake in alien conflicts. They could observe from a safe distance, gather intelligence, and return to Earth with news of a wider galaxy. But Martinez looked at those distress signals and saw something else. He saw civilizations crying out for help, just as humanity might one day need help from others. "We're fighting for the idea that intelligence has value," he said finally. "That civilized species have an obligation to help each other. If we ignore these calls for aid, what does that say about us?" The bridge crew absorbed these words in silence. They were soldiers, trained to follow orders and protect human interests. But they were also explorers, driven by curiosity and the desire to make contact with other thinking beings. "Admiral," Kim announced, "we're receiving a new signal. It's not like the others." The main display shifted to show a different pattern. Where the distress signals had been chaotic and desperate, this one was structured and deliberate. "Can you decode it?" "Working on it, sir. The pattern is..." "Wait, sir. This appears to be a response to our course change." The bridge erupted in quiet excitement. Someone was watching them. Someone knew they were coming. Dr. Walsh studied the new signal with growing amazement. "Admiral, they're not just aware of our presence. They're adapting their communication protocol to match our technology. This signal is designed specifically for us to understand." "What's it saying?" The xenobiologist worked frantically with his translation algorithms. Slowly, words began to appear on his screen. "Deathworlders approach. Hope kindles. The Vex consume all. Help us." Martinez felt his blood run cold. Deathworlders. Somehow these aliens knew enough about humanity to classify them. And whatever the Vex were, they sounded like a threat to all life. "Doctor, how accurate is that translation?" "Quite accurate, sir. The mathematical concepts translate directly. They're calling us Deathworlders, which suggests they understand our origins on a high-gravity, dangerous planet. And the word Vex appears repeatedly in all the distress signals." On the tactical display, the energy signatures from the distant battle were growing stronger. Whatever war was raging ahead of them was intensifying. "Time to target?" Martinez asked. 3 days, 18 hours at current speed, sir." 3 days to prepare for humanity's first alien war. 3 days to ready weapons and tactics for enemies they knew nothing about. 3 days to transform from explorers into something far more dangerous. Martinez turned to Torres. Begin combat preparations. I want every ship ready for anything we might encounter. And signal Earth Command. Tell them we're about to learn what else lives among the stars. As the Third Fleet burned through space toward an unknown conflict, Martinez couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to face its greatest test. Not against the void or radiation or the cold emptiness between worlds, but against something that had already proven it could threaten entire civilizations. The Vex were waiting somewhere ahead in the darkness, and soon they would learn why aliens called humanity the Deathworlders. The Kepler 442 system burned with the light of dying ships. Admiral Martinez watched the tactical display with growing horror as the Third Fleet dropped out of quantum drive. What had once been a thriving star system was now a graveyard of twisted metal and cooling plasma. "Sweet, merciful God," whispered Commander Torres, her voice barely audible over the bridge systems. Massive alien vessels drifted through space like dead whales, their hulls torn open to reveal complex internal structures. But these weren't the ships that had sent the distress signals. These were something else entirely. "Sensor sweep complete," reported Lieutenant Kim. "I'm reading debris from at least 60 vessels. Multiple design types suggesting several different species were involved in this battle." Dr. Walsh was studying his xenobiology scanners with fascination and revulsion. "Admiral, the ship designs are incredible. Organic components integrated with technology we can barely comprehend, but whatever attacked them was worse." On the display, new contacts began to appear. Sleek, black vessels emerged from behind the system's gas giant like sharks sensing blood in the water. Their surfaces absorbed light, making them nearly invisible against the void. "Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, Kim announced. "Reading 18 vessels. Configuration unknown." Martinez felt his jaw tighten. The Vex had been waiting for them. "Sir, incoming transmission from the lead contact," reported the communications officer. "On screen." The main display flickered, then filled with an image that would haunt human nightmares for generations. The creature was vaguely humanoid, but wrong in every detail that mattered. Its skin was translucent, revealing dark veins that pulsed with an unnatural rhythm. Multiple eyes lined its elongated skull, each one focusing independently on the camera. When it spoke, its voice carried harmonics that made the bridge crew wince. "Deathworlders," it said in perfect English. "We have studied your transmissions. Your species shows promise. Join us willingly, and we will grant you swift absorption into the collective. Resist, and your worlds will burn like all the others." Martinez stepped forward. "I am Admiral Chen Martinez of the United Earth ship Prometheus. Identify yourself and state your intentions in this system." The creature's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "I am Harvester Prime of the Vex Collective. Our intentions are simple. We harvest intelligence from inferior species to feed our growth. Your arrival saves us the trouble of seeking you out. These ships around us," Martinez gestured to the debris field. "They called for help. We came to answer that call." Something that might have been laughter emerged from the alien's throat. The Altani, Kresh, and Zenith Coalition were indeed efficient in their final moments. Their distress calls served our purpose perfectly. Deathworlders always respond to cries for aid. It is a weakness we exploit. The implications hit Martinez like a physical blow. The distress signals had been bait. The Vex had studied humanity well enough to know they would respond to aliens in trouble. They had been manipulated from the beginning. "Sir," Torres whispered, "they're moving into attack formation." On the tactical display, the Vex vessels were spreading out in a complex pattern that would allow them to focus fire while avoiding return shots. Their movements were precise, coordinated, and utterly confident. "Dr. Walsh," Martinez called, "what can you tell me about their technology?" The xenobiologist was frantically analyzing sensor data. "Admiral, their ships are partially biological. The hulls appear to be grown rather than built. Energy readings suggest weapon systems far beyond our current capabilities." "Fleet status?" Torres checked her displays. "All vessels combat ready, sir. The destroyers are in formation, and our plasma batteries are charged." Martinez studied the tactical situation. 27 human ships against 18 alien vessels. Under normal circumstances, those odds might seem acceptable. But these weren't normal circumstances. They faced an enemy that had apparently conquered multiple star-faring civilizations. "Harvester Prime," Martinez addressed the alien commander, "we decline your offer. Withdraw from this system and we'll consider this a misunderstanding." The creature's eyes fixed on him with predatory intensity. "Admirable." The Altani said similar words before we consumed their homeworld. "Your defiance will make the harvest more satisfying." The transmission ended. On the tactical display, the Vex ships began to glow with building energy. "All ships, this is Admiral Martinez," he broadcast on fleet frequency. "We are engaging hostile alien forces. Remember your training, protect your wingmen, and show these creatures why humanity claims the void." The first Vex attack came without warning. Beams of coherent energy lanced across space, striking the destroyer UES Defiance amidships. The human vessel's shields flared and held, but barely. "Return fire," Torres commanded. The Third Fleet responded with coordinated plasma bursts that lit up space like miniature suns. The beams struck the nearest Vex vessel, and for a moment, Martinez allowed himself hope. Then the enemy ship's hull rippled like water, absorbing the energy and converting it to fuel its own weapons. "Sir, our weapons aren't penetrating their defenses," reported the tactical officer. "Their hulls are adaptive." Martinez watched as the Vex formation flowed around his fleet like a living thing. Their movements defied conventional space combat doctrine. Ships that should have maintained position suddenly darted in impossible directions, as if their crews didn't care about G-forces or inertia. "Admiral," Dr. Walsh called out, "I think I understand their technology. The ships aren't just partially biological. They're alive. The crews are integrated directly into the vessel's nervous systems." Another energy beam struck the destroyer UES Vigilant, this time punching through weakened shields. The human ship's hull glowed red-hot as atmosphere vented into space. "Vigilant reports major hull breach," Torres announced. "They're falling back." Martinez clenched his fists. 2 hits, and they had already lost one ship's combat effectiveness. At this rate, the Third Fleet would be destroyed in minutes. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. Use the debris field for cover." The human vessels scattered among the wrecked alien ships, using the massive hulks as shields against Vex weapons. It was a desperate tactic, but it bought them precious time. "Sir," Kim announced, "I'm detecting something strange. The debris field is resonating with our quantum drives." Martinez looked at the sensor readings. The wrecked ships were indeed responding to human technology, their broken systems flickering with residual power. Dr. B. Walsh was studying the readings with growing excitement. "Admiral, these aren't just random vessels. Look at the damage patterns. The Vex weapons caused specific types of destruction, almost surgical in their precision." "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "They didn't just destroy these ships. They harvested them, took what they needed and left the rest. But what they left might still be useful to us." On the tactical display, a Vex ship was moving to flank the human formation. Its biomechanical hull pulsed with predatory hunger as it prepared to fire. "Engineering," Martinez called. "Can we interface with any of these wrecked systems?" The chief engineer's voice crackled over the intercom. "Maybe, sir. If we can establish a quantum link, we might be able to access their databases." It was a desperate gamble. Connecting human systems to alien technology could trigger computer viruses, system failures, or worse. but conventional tactics weren't working against the Vex. "Do it," Martinez ordered. The engineering team worked frantically as Vex energy beams continued to light up the battle space. Human ships darted between massive alien hulks, returning fire when they could but always moving, always seeking better position. "Connection established," the chief engineer reported. "Data transfer initiating." Suddenly, the main display filled with alien text and symbols. Dr. Walsh worked to translate as information flowed across his screens. "Admiral, this is incredible. These are tactical databases from 3 different species, combat records, weapon specifications, battle plans. They fought the Vex for decades before falling." Martinez seized on this opportunity. "What can we learn? How do we hurt them?" "Still processing, sir, but I'm seeing references to coordinated attacks. The Vex adaptive defenses work against single weapon types, but they have trouble adjusting to multiple simultaneous threats." "Torres, relay that to the fleet. All ships coordinate fire patterns. I want every weapon type hitting the same target at the same time." The Third Fleet reorganized itself among the debris. Plasma cannons, particle beams, kinetic projectiles, and fusion torpedoes all aimed at the lead Vex vessel. When Martinez gave the order, space erupted with the combined firepower of humanity's finest warships. The Vex ship's hull tried to adapt, rippling and shifting as it attempted to counter the incoming energy. But there were too many different weapon types, too many variables for its biological systems to process. The adaptive armor flickered, failed, and the concentrated fire tore through alien flesh and technology alike. The Vex vessel died screaming. Its biomechanical systems sent out death cries on frequencies that made human comm equipment crackle with interference. The remaining Vex ships hesitated, their perfect coordination wavering for the first time. "That got their attention," Torres said grimly. The alien formation regrouped, but their movements were different now, less fluid, more mechanical. They had learned to fear human weapons, and that fear made them vulnerable. "Dr. Walsh, what else do those databases tell us?" The xenobiologist was deep in alien data streams. "Admiral, there's something here about Vex reproduction. They don't breed naturally. They grow new ships by consuming the technology and biological matter of other species. They're parasites," Martinez said. "Worse than parasites. They're a cancer that spreads from system to system, absorbing everything they encounter. And, sir, there's something else. Earth is already in their database. They've been planning to harvest humanity for over 50 years. The revelation hit the bridge crew like a thunderbolt. The Vex hadn't just stumbled across humanity. They had been watching, studying, preparing for the day when human civilization would be ripe for harvest. "How many ships do they have?" Martinez asked quietly. Walsh consulted the alien records. "Thousands, sir. This is just a hunting pack. Their main fleet could sterilize every human world in weeks." The tactical display showed the remaining Vex ships reforming for another attack. But now Martinez saw them differently. They weren't just aliens trying to conquer humanity. They were the advanced scouts of extinction itself. "Signal Earth Command," he ordered. "Priority Alpha transmission. Tell them we've made contact with a hostile species that poses an existential threat to human civilization. Full military mobilization is required immediately." As the second battle of Kepler 442 prepared to resume, Martinez realized that everything had changed. This wasn't first contact anymore. This was the opening engagement of a war that would determine whether humanity survived to see another century. And somewhere in the depths of space, thousands of Vex ships were already burning toward Earth. 3 months after the Battle of Kepler 442, Earth burned with industrial fury. Every shipyard from Luna to the outer asteroid belt worked around the clock, building vessels for a war most humans couldn't imagine. Admiral Martinez stood in the command center of the newly constructed fortress station Aegis Prime, watching the largest armada in human history take shape. Final squadron reports ready for deployment, Commander Torres announced. That's 3,000 ships, sir. Everything from pocket destroyers to the new Dreadnought class. Martinez nodded, studying the tactical displays that showed the full scope of humanity's response. The VEX database recovered from Kepler 442 had provided Earth's military with a complete picture of the threat they faced. What they learned had terrified every government on the planet into unprecedented cooperation. Dr. Walsh, status on the alien weapon integration? The xenobiologist, now promoted to head of advanced weapons research, consulted his tablet. Beyond our wildest projections, Admiral. The Altani plasma cores we reverse-engineered increase our firepower by 300%. The Kresh defensive systems give us adaptive shielding almost as effective as the VEX. And the Zenith navigation computers let us coordinate fleet movements in ways we never thought possible. The irony wasn't lost on Martinez. Humanity was using the technology of dead civilizations to fight their killers. Every weapon system, every defensive improvement, every tactical innovation came from species that had ultimately failed against the VEX. But humans had advantages those other races hadn't possessed. "Sir, incoming transmission from Sector Command," reported Lieutenant Kim, now sporting the rank insignia of a full commander. "The VEX advance fleet has been detected crossing the outer marker. 200 ships on direct course for Earth." Martinez felt familiar tension knot his shoulders. The VEX had sent a harvesting fleet exactly as their databases predicted. They expected to find a terrified, divided humanity hiding behind primitive defenses. Instead, they were about to encounter something that had never existed before in the galaxy. "Signal the fleet," Martinez ordered. "All ships to battle stations. Operation Starfire is now in effect." Across the solar system, 3,000 human vessels began moving with precision that would have impressed the original Altani fleet commanders. Unlike the desperate skirmish at Kepler 442, this battle had been planned, rehearsed, and prepared for with the full resources of human civilization. The lead elements of the VEX fleet emerged from quantum drive at the edge of the asteroid belt, their biomechanical hulls pulsing with the confidence of apex predators. What they found waiting for them defied every assumption in their racial memory. Human ships didn't flee or try to hide. Instead, they advanced in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with new armor technologies and their weapon arrays charged with alien-enhanced power. The sight should have given the VEX pause, but their arrogance was absolute. Harvester Prime's successor, a creature called Dominator Alpha, opened communications from the VEX flagship. Its multiple eyes reflected the cold certainty of a species that had never known defeat. "Deathworlders," it said, its voice carrying harmonics of disdain. "Your primitive fleet cannot stand against the might of the collective. Surrender now, and we will harvest your worlds swiftly." Martinez appeared on the main screen of every human vessel. Behind him, the flags of every Earth nation flew side by side, a symbol of unity that the VEX couldn't comprehend. "Dominator Alpha," he said calmly. "I am Admiral Chen Martinez, Supreme Commander of the United Earth Defense Force. You are trespassing in human space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The alien's laugh sent chills through space itself. "You speak of consequences? We have harvested 1,000 species, consumed the technology of entire galactic sectors. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your defenses cannot protect you. Submit or watch your homeworld burn." "Counter-proposal," Martinez replied. "Let us show you why the galaxy is about to change hands." The transmission ended. On both sides, weapon systems powered up with deadly intent. The battle began with the VEX employing their standard tactics. Energy beams that could crack planets lanced across space, targeting the lead human vessels. But instead of the easy destruction they expected, the beams struck adaptive shields that rippled and held. Kresh technology had been improved with human engineering, creating defensive systems that could absorb and redirect energy on a scale the original designers never imagined. "First wave absorbed," reported the tactical officer. "Minimal damage to forward elements." Martinez smiled grimly. "Return fire. All weapons. Coordinated barrage." What happened next would be studied by military historians for centuries. 3,000 human ships fired as one, their weapons enhanced with the accumulated knowledge of 3 dead civilizations. But more than that, they fired with the tactical doctrines developed by a species that had learned warfare in the most violent planet in known space. Plasma beams enhanced with Altani technology struck Vex hulls with unprecedented force. Kinetic projectiles accelerated by human mass drivers punched through biomechanical armor that had never been penetrated. Fusion torpedoes guided by Zenith navigation systems found weak points in alien vessels with surgical precision. The front rank of Vex ships simply ceased to exist. Dominator Alpha stared at sensor readings that defied comprehension. 47 Vex vessels had been destroyed in a single coordinated strike. Such losses were unprecedented in the collective's history. "Impossible," it transmitted on open frequencies. "Our hulls are adaptive. Our defenses are perfected through 1,000,000 battles." "Your mistake," Martinez broadcast back, "was assuming we'd fight like the species you've already conquered. Humans don't just adapt, we evolve." The human fleet pressed their attack with a ferocity that shocked the Vex into paralysis. Ships that should have maintained formation suddenly broke ranks, not in retreat, but in aggressive flanking maneuvers. Squadrons coordinated attacks from multiple vectors, forcing Vex adaptive defenses to try processing dozens of different threat types simultaneously. Dr. Walsh monitored the battle from the research deck of Aegis Prime, watching as his predictions played out in reality. "Admiral, the Vex are trying to adapt to our enhanced weapons, but their biomechanical systems can't process the variety. We're overwhelming their neural networks." On the main display, Vex ships were beginning to exhibit erratic behavior. Their hulls flickered between different adaptive states, unable to settle on effective defenses against the chaos of human combat doctrine. "Sir, enemy flagship is attempting to withdraw," Commander Torres reported. Martinez considered letting them go, then remembered the database records of every species the Vex had harvested. Billions of intelligent beings dead because someone had shown mercy to these creatures. "Negative, no survivors. End this." The human fleet surrounded the remaining Vex vessels like a closing fist. The aliens fought with desperate fury, their biomechanical ships unleashing weapons that could sterilize continents. But they faced an enemy that had learned from their victims, improved on their technology, and combined it with the savage tactical instincts of a Deathworld species. The last Vex ship died 47 minutes after the battle began. In the aftermath, floating among the debris of alien vessels, the human fleet regrouped and assessed their victory. They had lost 18 ships, a fraction of what any previous species had suffered when facing the Vex. "Damage report," Martinez requested. Torres consulted her displays. "Minor losses, sir. The new shield systems performed beyond specifications. Engineering estimates we can repair most damaged vessels within weeks." Martinez nodded, but his expression remained grim. "Dr. Walsh, what's our intelligence assessment?" The xenobiologist brought up holographic displays showing Vex territory across the galaxy. "According to their databases, sir, this was only the first probe. The main collective fleet numbers in the tens of thousands. They're probably already responding to the loss of this force. The victory at Earth was significant, but it was only the beginning. Humanity had proven they could fight the Vex and win. Now they had to prove they could take the war to the enemy." "Signal Earth Command," Martinez ordered. "Operation Starfire is complete. Begin Phase 2 immediately. Full fleet construction, enhanced with captured Vex technology. We're going to need a much larger navy." Over the following months, Human expansion exploded across local space. Ships carrying colonists and construction teams raced toward systems the Vex had already harvested, searching for survivors and rebuilding what had been destroyed. The Altani had been reduced to a few thousand refugees, but they brought with them the locations of other resistance cells. The Kresh had survived by hiding in asteroid fields, their people scattered but not broken. They offered their services as engineers and shipbuilders. The remnants of the Zenith Coalition contributed their knowledge of Vex tactics and the location of major collective facilities. But it was humanity that provided the crucial element missing from all previous resistance efforts: the absolute refusal to accept defeat. "Admiral," Dr. Walsh announced one day as they surveyed the construction of humanity's first interstellar battle station, "we've made contact with 17 species that survived Vex harvesting. They're all requesting to join our alliance." Martinez watched as alien vessels arrived daily at human stations, their crews eager to serve under the flag of the species that had finally proven the Vex could be beaten. "What are they calling us?" he asked. Walsh smiled. "The Deathworlders, sir, but now it's a title of respect, not just classification. Word is spreading across the galaxy that Earth has risen to challenge the collective." As the first year of the Vex War ended, humanity had transformed from a single-system species to the leaders of a galactic resistance movement. Human shipyards produced vessels enhanced with the technology of a dozen races. Human officers commanded fleets containing species from across known space. Human tactical doctrines became the standard for all resistance operations. The Vex had created the very weapon that would destroy them. By forcing different species to develop defenses and resistance tactics, they had provided humanity with everything needed to forge a superior military force. But more than that, they had given humans something they had always excelled at: an enemy that deserved no mercy. Standing on the bridge of the UES Retribution, the first human dreadnought designed specifically for deep space combat against the Vex Collective, Martinez looked out at a fleet that would have been impossible to imagine a year before. 3 species working together as one, united by the simple principle that intelligence deserved to survive and freedom was worth any price. The Vex had spent millennia harvesting the galaxy, consuming every species they encountered. They thought they understood warfare, technology, and the limits of biological intelligence. They had never encountered a species that turned every defeat into a lesson, every loss into motivation for greater victories. Now the Deathworlders were coming for them, and across the void, the harvest was about to begin flowing in the opposite direction.